I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. We're going to just jump into the show tonight, so we won't have our standard opening or closing, and we won't have the tags on each of the sun signs, so I hope you listen real closely for yours. Because if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would know that the title of tonight's show is "The Good Outweighs the Bad." And that might be a good thought for you to hold this week, because you could be running into a few roadblocks, since there are some rather harsh aspects among the planets in the heavens right now. And yet, you know, tomorrow can be looking great. There can be a lot of opportunities. So if one door closes, another one will open, and that can be the door to your future. And that's why you've got to hold the thought that the good outweighs the bad. So please try to stay very, very hopeful this week, and think of good communication and change as a way that you can move forward in your future, because you can do that. And so today, despite the fact that the Sun in Leo and Mercury in Leo are squaring the Moon in Scorpio, which can indicate indecision and confusion, particularly about financial matters, since Scorpio does rule financing, credit, taxes, inheritance, grants, and money coming from any other source, such as insurance proceeds. There can be a lot of confusion about that. Still, if you're not really certain about all the money in your future, you can still have great ideas right now, and I think you should try to have the confidence and the courage to follow through on them. After all, Leo does rule courage, and it is the sign of leadership, and the Sun is there as well. So despite that harsh square of the Sun and the Moon, there are also 4 retrograde planets right now, and that can always cause a slowdown or a delay, because the planets are not strong when they're going backwards, they're stronger when they're going forward. And so we have Pluto in Capricorn, which is retrograde, meaning there can be a downsizing in management, and there can be changes in policies right now, perhaps due to funding, and so we'll have to deal with that. That could cause delays. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, and when it is retrograde, that can be an indication that there can be a cover-up or exposed or revealed, and it could be far worse than we had originally thought. Uranus is retrograde in Aries, and that simply means that if there is the possibility of a sudden new start on your horizon, there could also be this possibility of a sudden cancellation or termination as well, because that planet is going backward. And then Mercury itself is retrograde in Leo, and that simply means that if you have some really good leadership ideas, you should go back and sort of polish them up a little bit, because you need to develop those ideas, and you might need to really put them down in black and white so other people can see what they are and understand them. So I think that despite the fact that there are 4 retrograde planets, which means we have to rework our ideas, or we might have to change a few plans, or we may have to realign our priorities, or redo our schedules, or even shift personnel due to changes, still, with all of that going on, the good outweighs the bad. And the reason why is because there are 4 wonderful planets all trining each other, and we can all benefit from that. Venus and Jupiter are in Gemini, and they are trining Mars and an exalted Saturn in Libra. Libra rules partnership, and Saturn, it would indicate the finest kind of partner, one who was stalwart and honorable and had a lot of experience under their belt, so they would really know what they're doing. You might have some really good ideas, since that Saturn and Mars are trining Venus and Jupiter and in Gemini. And Gemini is a creative air sign. It rules ideas and change and communication and short forms of projects, or even short forms of education, or even short trips. And so you could have ideas about all of that, but maybe this is a better time for you to sort of bring on a partner who can back you up solidly. Those ideas then could take shape, and they could have some support from others. And that's why the good outweighs the bad, because of these 4 planets in air signs, the 2 in Gemini, which are trining the 2 in Libra, because those 4 planets are in wonderful aspect to each other, and they all trine Aquarius, the sign of the future. And that is why, despite the obstacles or the delays or innumerable changes that you might be faced with this week, you still are going to have a chance to go forward, and you're going to have a chance to perhaps get some good backing from people that can really support you, and that can lead to expansion in your future. Jupiter is a planet of expansion, and while it is in Gemini for the next year, everyone's small ideas can turn into big ones. And that is why you should give your ideas a chance, but also get some good backing for them so that they last. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think since Uranus is in your sign, but it is going backwards or retrograde along with some other planets, this is a time when you could be wanting your freedom and wanting to do things your way, and you can even be a little bit rebellious, but you can be heavily opposed by others who want things done in a rather strict and matter-of-fact way. And of course, that can be bothering you a little bit. And that is because Mars and Saturn in Libra are opposing Uranus in your sun sign. Those are the malefic planets. And all 3 of those malefic planets are being squared by Pluto in Capricorn. And so you can be subject to changes by management or even some downsizing right now. Or you can be subject to a legal decision or a partnership issue which may go against you, and that could sort of cramp your style, Aries. So it is really good that both the Sun and Mercury are in Leo because they trine your sun sign, Aries. So you do have some support around. If you should hear about someone else's good leadership idea or a new project on the horizon, I would join them if I were you, Aries, because there's a fabulous new moon coming up in Leo, trining your sun, and you could go in a whole new direction. So just remember, the good outweighs the bad, and I think the good is ahead of you, Aries. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is simply a time when I think you need to be very, very careful, particularly about where the money's going and how high your costs could be. And the reason why, Taurus, is because planets are building up in the fixed signs now. Remember, the Sun and Mercury are squaring your sign, Taurus, and the moon in Scorpio is opposing your sign. Your sign and Scorpio are the 2 financial signs. And so that simply means that you could be looking at a few problems that have to do with credit or loans or even an inheritance or certainly taxes, Taurus. And so I think you would be wise to anticipate higher taxes and higher costs in your future. The first 6 months of the year were wonderful for you because Jupiter was in your sun sign, but it isn't there anymore. And in fact, there's only one planet fortifying your sign, and that is Pluto in Capricorn, and it is under duress right now. So you really got to sort of look out for number 1 right now, Taurus. And if there is any possibility that you could sell something right now, you really ought to do it and just put that money away, because I think you're really going to need it, particularly by this fall when Saturn comes into Scorpio and begins to oppose your sun sign. And then I'm sure you're going to be facing higher expenses and particularly higher taxes. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, remember I said the good outweighs the bad. Well, the good is sitting in your sun sign, Gemini. And the reason why is that you have the 2 best planets in the heavens in your sun sign, Venus and Jupiter. And Venus won't stay there. It will go on in another month, but Jupiter will stay there for a year until next summer. However, the planets that are supporting the 2 in your sign, Gemini, won't be there for too much longer. Mars is going to move on in another month, so it won't be trining your sun. And the exalted Saturn, which has been sort of holding you steady for 2 or 3 years, is going to move on after October 6th. So while you can get some strong support for your great ideas, Gemini, I would do that if I were you. You really need to concentrate on just your number 1 pet project right now. So remember I said with 4 retrograde planets, some people would have to realign their priorities. I think you should, Gemini, because you can't be everywhere. You have really got to hone in on what is most important to you and get some solid backing for that in the next month or so, or you will be missing a wonderful opportunity for expansion. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, we just had a new moon in your sign last week. It was under severe duress because there were 6 planets in cardinal signs all squaring and opposing each other. And so particularly for you, Cancer, you've got to remember that the good outweighs the bad. And that is because, yes, there could be legal problems since Mars and Saturn are squaring your sun. And yes, there could be sudden changes and cancellations or terminations in new plans because Uranus in Aries is squaring your sun. And yes, there can be downsizing or diminished funds in organizations right now because Pluto is opposing your sun, and there isn't anything in your sun sign right now, Cancer. So you are going to have to sort of live with some changes or with the idea that there has to be some revision of your plans. I would not go outward and try to seek agreement right now because I don't think you can get it. But if you went behind the scenes, Cancer, you would be pretty successful. I think the goodness is behind you in the background of your life, perhaps in your neighborhood or with younger people, because both Venus and Jupiter are in Gemini right behind your sun sign. So you do have protection. Or there can be slight changes or modifications that you can make quite easily right now. And that's why the good outweighs the bad. So if you could sort of withdraw a little bit, Cancer, you'd be a lot better off than trying to go out and push your ideas on other people. I don't think that can sell, but you can be very, very popular behind the scenes. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is simply a time with the sun in your sign that you can feel like charging forward, and that would be just fine, except that there are planets now building up in the fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. So you have the Sun and Mercury, which is retrograde, in your sun sign, but they are both being squared by the moon in Scorpio. And remember, Scorpio is a financial sign. So there can certainly be some indecision or confusion about how to finance a great idea of yours, Leo. I would say stick with the idea. Keep trying to develop it. The wonderful planets that are in the air signs right now all sextile your sun. So there is opportunity out there for you to expand a great idea, and there's also opportunity for you to get some solid backing for it. Where's the money coming in? Well, I don't think it's coming in right now, but that shouldn't stop you, Leo. There is a wonderful new moon coming up in your sign on August 17th, and a week before that, on August 8th, Mercury will go direct in your sign. So yes, you're going to be able to get something off the ground. So I wouldn't worry about how to pay for it at the moment. In fact, everybody in the world is worried about how to pay for something. So don't let that stop you, Leo. Go ahead and formulate your plans anyway, because there's still a lot of legwork to do, or build up a team that you would like to work with so that if something does get the green light, you'd be all ready to go in August. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is simply a time when I think you're going to be able to really breathe a sigh of relief. And the reason why is that I think it's dawning on you, Virgo, that yes, the good does outweigh the bad. In other words, there can be relationships of yours that are sort of not as important to you as they used to be. That's Venus and Jupiter in Gemini squaring your sun. So some of your friends can be sort of in transition or changing right now, and that can be a little bit unsettling. But actually, Virgo, the only thing that can be bothering you, I think, a lot would be the fact that Neptune in Pisces is opposing your sun sign and it's retrograde, meaning that an imposter can be exposed or a cover-up can be revealed, and it could be far worse than anyone had thought. This could be very disillusioning for you, Virgo. In other words, if you had always suspected that somebody was, sort of a phony or a fake or saying things differently than the way they were really operating, I think now is a time when you can see that that was exactly true. And so that's why it can be disillusioning. But on the other hand, the good outweighs the bad. And it simply means that with Pluto in Capricorn trining your sun, that as people do make changes in management or in large corporations or government policies, even if those change, they will still tend to benefit you. And I think that you can be looking at small gains that can be coming up to you and that you can be very happy by your birthday in September. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I think that you really have to keep reminding yourself, Libra, that the good outweighs the bad. And that is because there are harsh aspects among cardinal signs, but there aren't quite as many planets in the cardinal signs this week as there were last, which is good. And also the sun has moved on along with Mercury. It's in Leo right now, and it is sextiling your sun, meaning that someone else can have a great idea. Well, maybe it's not fully developed yet, but it could tend to benefit you. And also the biggest benefit to you, Libra, is that Venus and Jupiter in Gemini are trining your sun. That means that if you feel weighed down with a lot of responsibility and you are dedicated to sticking to your goals, this may be a time when you could get some help. And you should ask for help, Libra, because there are wonderful people around that could sort of take a little of the load off your shoulders. And I think you should take advantage of the fact that people can be very eager to help you and want to be around you. Why? Because they have grown to respect you. You have a good track record, you have a lot of experience, you know what you're doing, and you could be sort of at the end of your rope now, a little bit frazzled, but with everything that is going on that you're responsible for. And that's why I think you should ask other people to help you lift the load right now so that you can lighten it a little bit. And on the other hand, they would have the pleasure and the experience of working with a real pro like you, Libra. So you'd be giving them some guidance back, and that way it's sort of an even exchange. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, the moon is in your sign today, and yes, it is being squared by the sun and Mercury in Leo, which means there can be some indecision or confusion about how to finance a new project. And on top of that, somebody else wants to be the leader, and they certainly don't want you to have all the money. But the moon is very well placed in your sign, Scorpio, because it's trining the sign it rules, Cancer. Neptune in Pisces is also trining your sun right now. And so I think that when we're talking about the good outweighing the bad, I think that the good is financial for you, Scorpio, and that there can be some funding coming your way, additional funding. The difference between funding and financing is that you have to borrow to get financing, but funding is something that is allocated or given to you. Funding can come in the form of a grant or an inheritance or insurance proceeds. It can even come from people who simply want to back you financially or even buy you out in one way or another. So all of that is just money coming in, and it isn't at a cost to you at all. And that's what I think can be happening for you, Scorpio. There can be some good funding headed your way, and that can be because people trust you and they know they understand that you know what you're doing, and that's why they're going to be giving you the funding. Lucky you. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, you have a lot of support now. In fact, more than you've had in a long time. And remember, the good outweighs the bad. So look at the support and the great ideas that other people have and really take advantage of that right now. There are more planets trining your sun now than there have been in a long time. So I think you can be picking up and becoming more hopeful, Sagittarius, because the sun and Mercury in Leo are trining your sun, and of course Uranus in Aries is also trining your sun. Both Mercury and Uranus are retrograde right now, but Mercury is going to go direct by August 8th, and it is going to be, the sun will still be in Leo as well. So someone else is going to have a great idea and want to charge forward with it, and you could be included in that idea, or you could join them, or you could add your contributions to that idea and perhaps get on a new road of your own, Sagittarius. So that's why the good outweighs the bad, because you have more support, you're beginning to meet people that talk your language a little bit more, and that can be good. And a project doesn't have to last forever. It just has to be something you're excited about. So I think you're going to have an opportunity to hear news about something that you are interested in, Sagittarius, and I urge you to go forward with it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you have to be very, very careful. You have to be more careful than anybody else right now, Capricorn. And the reason why is that all three malefic planets, Uranus in Aries, and Mars and Saturn, and remember Saturn is your own ruler, they oppose each other, and all three of them square your sun sign, Capricorn. So the possibility of you alienating a partner or making them mad or being in a legal dispute and losing it are very high right now, Capricorn. So I wouldn't get in an argument or a lawsuit with anybody. You really won't win. Also, the possibility of terminating or suddenly ending a relationship that was just starting to be a nice one is possible because Uranus is also squaring Pluto in your sign. The problem with having Pluto in somebody's sun sign is that Pluto is a planet of power. And so, Capricorn, you could be feeling as if you're right about something, or as if you have the final word and you would have the experience to back it up. But other people have different ideas, or I would say the conditions in the world are changing and they're very uncertain, but particularly for you, Capricorn. There is no fortification to your sun sign anymore. There has been for a long time. Remember, Jupiter used to be trine your sun, and Mars did also, and there aren't any planets in the other Earth signs right now. That is why, yes, the good outweighs the bad, but you better not provoke anybody right now, Capricorn, or something could happen that would be very adverse, and you would not win it. In fact, you're not in a winning position right now. That's why you have to be really, really nice to people. And if you disagree with somebody, keep it to yourself, because if you're right, the truth will still be there later on when the aspects are better, because they are not too good right now, Capricorn. So caution has got to be your middle name right now. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, you can really benefit right now from the good. It doesn't mean that there aren't things around that you don't have to watch out for, because yours is a fixed sign and the planets are building up in fixed signs, and that means when that happens, people dig in, particularly people in fixed signs. There are 4 of them: your sign, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. The Sun and Mercury in Leo are opposing your sign, and that means someone else wants to be the leader, and they certainly don't want you in charge. They want to be in charge, so you have that to counter right now or to contend with. And the moon in Scorpio is squaring your sun, which means financing issues or matters that have to do with credit or taxes can be pretty iffy right now, and they would be rather uncertain. I wouldn't count on them. This is not a good time for people to try to borrow money. And that is because the finances are shrinking or they are diminishing. And so it's harder to either borrow money or the terms are too costly for that. And so I wouldn't get in debt right now, Aquarius. And so that's the bad. But the good certainly outweighs that, because Venus and Jupiter in Gemini are trining your sun, and so are Mars and Saturn in Libra. The Mars and Saturn in Libra indicate heavy-duty hitters. They indicate people with a lot of backing that could really support you. Yes, they might be stern and strict, but they've got a lot of experience, and with their backing and support, you could get something off the ground right now, Aquarius. So remember, they're valuable because they would be there holding you up. On the other hand, Venus and Jupiter in Gemini trining your sun indicate that other people with a lot of their own ideas are eager to help you. And so that's wonderful. You could benefit from fresh input right now, or people who have skills that you have not mastered yourself. So Aquarius, I think you're going to be looking at a door that's really open for you. You just can't walk through it by yourself. You really have to have strong support behind you, And you have to have people who are eager to help you or jump on board as well. You have the opportunity for that. Those opportunities are not going to be around soon. And that is because Venus is going to leave Gemini, so it won't be trining your sun. And Mars is going to be leaving Libra, so it will actually be squaring your sun, and that'll be a little tough on you. And then Saturn is going to be leaving Libra in October and will go into Scorpio, and that too will be challenging. Now is your time to really line up strong support and good team members for a new start, Aquarius. I hope you don't waste any time, because I don't think you've got any to waste. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when, of course, the good outweighs the bad. And so I think that since yours is not a cardinal sign and it's not a fixed sign, it's a mutable sign, and Neptune is in your sign, and it is the only planet that is impacting you adversely right now. Why? Because of its direction. It's going backwards. And because of that, Pisces, there is a challenge to you right now, and the challenge is to take off the rose-colored glasses. You have got to quit kidding yourself about something. And it's something that you know you have let go for a long, long time. It could be a health matter that you have refused to face. It could be a matter that has to do with education in one way or another. Perhaps you would benefit from greater training, and maybe you need to go back and take that a little bit more seriously. Or it could simply be that other people are having a lot of fun and doing things in an easy way, and that too is not as easy for you as it is for them, and that could be bothering you. So you could be restless right now, Pisces. The moon in Scorpio is trining your sun. That is very good for you. Once you take off those rose-colored glasses and once you stop kidding yourself about something, there is the possibility, if you get very, very serious about a matter that needs correcting, you could get the funding to help you with that as well. And the reason why you could get the funding is because that moon in Scorpio is trining your sun right now. You should take advantage of that, Pisces. So there could be an inheritance headed your way. There could be a grant or insurance proceeds, or if you own property, there is the possibility that it has been reassessed, and maybe your taxes could go down a little bit. That's good too, because that would shrink your costs. Or it can simply be that there is a person around who wants to invest in you in one way or another. This would actually be a good time, Pisces, for you to consider moving. And if the move is accomplished now, or you start thinking about it now, then you could probably line up the financing, or you could line up a place that you could move into on your terms that are very good. There's all kinds of ways for you to make a pretty good financial deal right now, Pisces, if you just sort of apply yourself. But you have to be very, very realistic. And I think what you need to do is be realistic about the things that you've been holding on to that represent memories from the past. Because honestly, memories are nice, but the time that you spend on them is time that you're wasting and that you are not spending on your future. Uranus is in Aries right ahead of your sun sign. Yes, it's under duress right now. There could be a sudden termination of a new beginning or of a partnership. If something just sort of blows up right in front of you, Pisces, you may actually benefit from that, because quickly you would be able to step in to some sort of breach and